very, very dangerous.
Get these spidey sense, I was like, oh, something's off.
And I'm just like, man, I'm waiting to hear something,
Keep that crowd warmed up. Is Mr. Yahola Tiger.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to another edition of the War Cry Podcast. I am your host, Yahola Tiger, and on this, I guess it's kind of cool out. October's just been too hot, but anyways, on this wonderful occasion, I'm hitting you guys with a part two. I always promise things. I always, if I tell you I'm going to bring somebody back, I always bring them back. And on this episode, I'm bringing back Kevin Nez. We're going to be talking about more horror movies that will keep you up at night. There's so much stuff that we didn't hit, and so we're going to tonight. Before we get to Nez, we will be there'll be no live stream or episode until Halloween. So this is the last one. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm not sure how long we're going to go. But Halloween will be the next night, and I'll be with Rod from Lodge Tales, and I got a few more people I need to reach out to. That we're going to be telling scary stories all night. Well, not all night, but you guys get what I'm saying. But Halloween night, make sure you tune in. And we'll get real spooky. I want to make sure the time is a little bit after everybody, everybody's got trick-or-treating going on and whatnot. So I'll make sure the time is, pushed back enough to where you can put them little ones to bed and we can get to the spookiness. But I just want to shout out everybody who continues to support the podcast. And let's get to this. Joining me again, host of the Mac Nez podcast and the E Society podcast. Do not forget, he's doing the 31 Days of Halloween on the E Society podcast. I'm joined by Mr. Kevin Nez. How's it going, man?
I'm good, brother, man. It's cooling off here. It's not as hot. It was hot yesterday at work, but then as soon as the sun went down, it was all good. But those of you that are listening to our 31 Days of Horror for on E Society, I am an episode behind. Well, 2 now. I had all kinds of stuff going on, some technical issues, so just bear with me. They will be out tonight. So and a new episode tomorrow as well. So sorry about that, everyone. It's been hectic here at the house. Just trying to get ready for Halloween, especially with my grandsons. So
and you got a Mac Nez podcast out too, right?
Yes, the latest episode just dropped a couple hours ago, and that is, I don't even know what episode number that is. Episode 147 of the Mac Nez podcast is up right now. Please go over there and support the show and listen. I have the death thrash metal band from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Suspended. I got to sit down with them earlier this month down in Oakland after one of their gigs, and it was a cool little episode. It's finally that got them on the show, and I was stoked, man. Just 3 awesome sisters that just rock the house every time they play. I can't wait to see them again. But yeah, definitely check out that episode. Just go to the Mac Nez podcast on Facebook, and I think I put the link there. Yeah, it's there. So man,
it should be in the description too as well for everybody. So if you have any questions of where it's at, I guess hit that description. It's right there. So, but we could have went hours, man, last time. I guess we technically did go hours. We went about 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I'm not sure if I got that in me tonight, but we'll see what happens. But we left off, teasing y'all, I love leaving cliffhangers. I hate when people do it to me, but I love doing it to the audience. We hadn't even got to a lot of topics, and I want to start the show off, Nez. if you got a topic you want to start us off with, I'll let you rock it. If you got one in mind, it's just a genre or a movie that you've seen recently, just something to get us going.
I love Japanese horror. I know there's so many out there. The remakes that they made from them, were they the greatest? No, they weren't the greatest, but
No, they weren't.
there was a lot of them out there. I think the one that really scared me the most was Ju-on, The Grudge. Came out 2002. They did do the remake of The Grudge. I think they made 4 of them. I know there was Grudge 1, 2, 3. Then there was another one that came out. What year would that one come out?
Didn't they do like a
2020.
side one? Wasn't it White Noise or something? Or was
I
that
don't think.
separate?
I think that was separate.
Man, that was I ain't gonna lie, that was pretty bad. That wasn't that good. That was
But this one, I mean, that one, Ju-on, I mean, that one scared the hell out of me. Shout out to my buddy, Sweet Rob. Rest in peace, brother. I love you and I miss you. He's the one that got me into all the J horror and the Korean horror and everything. He was like, watch this. I was like, okay. I mean, he got me with Ringu. Then they did The Ring, which came out. When did that one come out? 2002.
I believe it. Yeah, because I think it came out. The first one came out in '98, right? '99.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember when that one came out, but
another J horror one that I don't think a lot of people talk about, and I've only seen once. Is the Blind Beast?
The Blind Beast,
or the Blinding Beast, about a guy he's blind, but he tries to make up the perfect woman.
Blind Beast
or Beast? I think it might be.
I think it's Blind Beast.
Yeah.
Geez, that came out a long time ago. 69.
Yeah, I watched that on AMC. What was it? It was back when AMC or what is it? Not AMC. With the Turner, like the classic movies used to come on. You know, on a Sunday they'd have the old horror movies or whatever. And I seen that movie, and I remember watching it because I remember being like a little guy, just being like, "What is going on in this movie?" And he's like blind, and he's just going crazy for this woman, trying to make her. But that's another J horror. And then the Impulse. I don't know if you've seen that one.
That one was good. The Japanese one was good. The American one, it was a nice try. I mean,
Yeah.
I think out of American ones, going back to Ju-on, the Grudge, when that one came out, it was basically almost the exact same, except for they just threw in an American young woman. What's her name? Sarah Michelle Gellar. They threw her in it. And it was pretty much line for line, shot for shot. I did like that, but it was scary. Actually, I think I talked about this the last time. I saw The Grudge before I saw Ju-on, and I didn't know it was a remake. And then I went back and watched that, and that one scared the hell out of me. That one's still scary.
Is that one's got the one that from the guy from Shogun, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Or he might be. He's in one of those two.
And the Ring or Ringu or Ring, whatever it was called, that one, I saw that first one. I rented it. I mean, once I fell down the Japanese horror hole, I was just like, wow, this looks good. Let's check this one out. That Tale of Two Twin Sisters or whatever that one was called.
Mm-hmm.
That one was good. Then they did the remake, which was all right. But as far as Korean horror, other than the zombie movies they've been giving us, which were amazing, there was a movie called Phone. I can't remember exactly when. Okay, that one came out in 2002. I don't believe they did a remake of that. I know there was that One Missed Call that they did, and then there was a remake to that one. I think One Missed Call had like a series of movies. I only seen the first one.
Is Phone the one about where they get a phone call and it's like, hey, you got something about it's like death or something calling them? Is that what Phone is?
Really quick synopsis. Soon after getting a new phone, a woman notices strange things starting to happen. When she investigates, she discovers that everyone has her phone number before her has died. Before her has it died suddenly, mysteriously. No, the one when you get the phone call was One Missed Call. That was when you got the call and you answered and you heard your death.
Yeah.
So that's why I never answer my phone if I don't know the phone numbers. but did too many horror movies. But Phone, that was one. I like to go to like old record stores that sell records and CDs and movies and all that. And when I was kind of digging through the horror section, I said, "Oh, Phone, this looks good," and say it was from Korea. I said they haven't let me down, so I just bought it, and it was a good movie. I really loved it. I'm glad they didn't remake it, but there's so many to fall down that hole. There's even one, I think it's on Shutter right now. One Cut of the Dead. It's a zombie movie.
I haven't seen that yet. I've been wanting to see that. It's on my list.
It's like a found footage movie, and they're making a movie during a zombie apocalypse, which they don't know at first, and then all hell breaks loose, and they're just trying to survive.
It's kind of horror comedy too, a little bit at the very beginning.
There's one movie that everyone says it's a horror film. It was a movie called Audition. It came out in 1999.
That's a classic, man. That's a classic.
It's an awesome film, and yes, there's horrific images or stuff in it, but it wasn't a horror movie. It was more of just kind of a thriller. Like, why is this girl so crazy? And there's some gruesome stuff at the end of the film, but I wasn't like scared. Well, maybe
when she was cutting it, when she was messing with his toes, man. Oh my god, I couldn't do it, man. I remember being like, I hate when people mess with my eyes and my toes.
I mean, you wouldn't. Nobody wants to meet any crazy person, be it female or male, and go through that. But in a way, kind of deserved it for what he was trying to do.
And you know what we're missing? Hey, you know what we missed last episode is Misery.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of a crazy woman or crazy fan,
I remember seeing that film for the first time and like, oh my god. And yeah, I mean, there's crazy people out there. Everyone, just be careful. I mean, another movie that scared every man in America when it came out wasn't a horror movie, was Fatal Attraction.
Oh yeah.
That was hella scary. I mean, just dealing with someone crazy like Audition. If you guys have not seen Audition, I believe it's streaming on Shudder or Tubi. Most likely Tubi. Everything's on Tubi. Check that one out. It's a slow burn, but it pays off.
The ending is crazy.
Yeah.
And a movie that when I watched this about 4 years ago. I still think about it from time to time because I don't know exactly what I saw when it came to the ending and who was the good guy and who was the bad guy. But it's a Korean movie called The Wailing.
Oh,
that movie! I got goosebumps thinking about that movie because where the movie takes place is there's a police officer who starts to realize that there's things going on in the town, and they start to blame the immigrants that are coming in, saying, "Oh, they're bringing that bad magic. They're bringing that bad stuff here," and he ends up, with Korean movies, they always take you one way, and then they hit you over the back of the head because you're not going to be ready for the ending because you don't really know who's the good and who's the bad. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I have. I saw it once, just a long time ago, but yeah, that was a weird one.
I didn't know who was the bad because at the end you have basically this devil on the shoulder type entity is like giving them a choice. If you go, then this is what's going to happen. If you don't go, this is what's going to happen. And he's like, and then I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hadn't seen it, but that movie. And then there was another movie. It was a demonic movie, and that's one thing about Korean movies that I love it. It's a possession movie, and I can't remember if it's called The Possession. It was on Shudder when Shudder first started popping up. That movie showed up. It might have been called Possession. I know you got your computer in front of you. But basically, it details a guy. They move into this house and they realize that their neighbors they think he's practicing satanic stuff, and I want to say it's just a crazy movie. But that's another one. And then another one that's off the top of my head that is a legendary movie, and I don't know if it's a horror movie as much as it is, but Old Boy.
Oh yeah,
Man, that movie, when you find out the ending, you yourself is grossed out.
oh yeah, that one was that one was crazy. I wasn't ready for it, but when it hits you, if you guys have not seen Old Boy, we won't ruin it for you, but oh man, yeah, check that one out. The Japanese one, I mean, the American one, that
But
Spike Lee did it. It
yeah,
was all right, but
his
no,
Josh Brolin was in that one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
watch the Japanese one. A friend of mine brought it to work, and he goes, "Dude, let's watch this." I was like, "All right." So we watched it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that that movie was crazy."
Because they
There is
locked him away, man. Imagine being locked away for all those years, and then the next day they're like, "Okay, you're free."
it kind of reminded me of a little bit that one Jet Li movie when he was kind of locked away and he had like a collar around his neck.
Oh, it's I can't think of it. I know I saw a Jet Li movie like that. I can't
he,
think of. I know what you're talking about though. I know what movie you're talking about.
oh man, see, I'm not gonna be able to to sleep until I could see. I want to say like Unchained or Uncharted, some Unleashed. That was it.
That's right. Yes.
Um, he was like kind of locked away from everybody, and then I guess when he got commands, he was able to kick ass. It was that type of thing. That's what Old Boy kind of Curse remind me a little bit of Old Boy when he was locked away. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah. Curses.
but
Cure's a good one too. Oh, J horror. Cure.
Cure.
Yeah, I can't think of. I saw it a long time ago. I always get that one and Pulse mixed up.
I have not seen this one.
I
have to look
haven't seen
up.
it in years, but I
Came out.
remember. I think it was like the end, like something about the end of the world, basically.
Okay. Came out in 97. Is a part Arizona crime film about psychological meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like
Well,
I think I don't know if it's like the end of the world, but it's like mind bending type thing. But I thought that was. I
it's
hadn't
like
seen that one in years, but I remember one scene where he's like doing. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it, but that's another one too to be looking out for is Cure because it's pretty crazy.
there was another movie I seen. Someone brought it to work. We just fell down the Japanese horror, and we were just bringing in whatever we could find. Someone brought in a movie. It came out 2004. It was called Cursed. It took place in a convenience store.
Hmm.
And it was kind of like a supernatural ghost type of thing. Like if you go into that store, I mean, you never come out. It
Dang.
sounded weird, and it's like, what, really, a little mini mart gas station or whatever it was. But in the end, I was like, whoa, that was pretty trippy. I mean, I'm sure they're still making horror films, but I mean, for a while in the 90s, early 2000s, it was like they were just coming at it from every direction.
Yep.
And I was seeing them all, and I just couldn't stop watching all these films. I mean, not every one of them was good, but majority of them were. I mean,
Yep.
a lot of them were slow burns. And even when the American ones came out, they kind of took that story and cut out all the boring parts, I guess, that didn't really move the story along. But I don't know. I think the Japanese and the Koreans, the way they made their films, they just made them awesome. I loved it on how spooky they were and scary. I mean, I can still watch one today. I can throw in Ju-on tonight and still be scared. I mean, that little Toshio kid scared the hell out of me.
Yeah,
I mean,
he looked crazy. I remember I had seen him the first time. I was like, God. And then even on the ring, man, like when they first revealed that basically, you know, when she goes through that TV the first time when I saw that,
yeah.
oh man. I was like, nah, this is crazy. And basically you find out that like they, like the way their faces are morphed, like where they're all like crazy looking. I was like, I remember being a little kid, little guy, being like, what am I watching? I was like, man,
Oh man, it's crazy on what they do. I mean, foreign horror films are just awesome. There is a film. I mean, speaking of weird, crazy movies like Old Boy, there's a film that came out in 2010. It's kind of listed as horror, but it was more of there's horrific stuff in it. It was kind of a gory, dramatic mystery thriller type of thing. It's probably like one of the weirdest and craziest films I'd ever seen in my life. I'd heard so much. I fell down this disturbing movie list I found. And I watched all of them. Majority of them were like, yeah, that was all right. That was cool. I mean, it was all these movies that they talk about that are gross and horrific and all that. None of them were scary, but this one scared me on what was happening in it and what the outcome was. And there's a scene in it that I just can't watch. It's a movie called A Serbian Film. It's oh man, it's crazy. A quick synopsis. An aging porn star agrees to participate in an art film in order to make a clean break from the business, only to discover that he has been drafted into making I don't want to read that, kind of gives it away, a crazy film, basically like a snuff type of film. But
man,
what happens in this movie is just crazy. He was like, he needed money. He was a family man. It was him, his wife, and his son. And this crazy director, hey man, I'll give you $1 million if you make this movie with me. And you can't ask me what it is or what's going to happen in it. You just got to go to these places and film these scenes. So he was kind of like, all right. He needed the money that bad. And he was like, all right. And then it just went haywire from there all the way to the end. And when the movie was over, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I need to go take a shower. I need to go to church or something. I mean, that's how like it really I really made me think about what was going on in this film. Like who would make a film like this? Obviously, it did get put in the theaters over where it was made, and when it got to America, I saw the unrated version first. It's still pretty gruesome. I'm sorry, I saw the rated version first, then I watched the unrated one, and they're just like, they just stretched out some of the bloody, gory scenes. I mean, it is not a film for everybody. Read about it if you want to watch it, but don't. I'm saying, read about it first. It's a crazy movie, and it's really bloody goriness in it. As a film, I liked the way they shot it. I liked the way it was edited, the acting. It was a well-made film. It was just the subject matter that was like, oh my God. I mean, there is so many of those movies, like, just to throw guts in it. There's this one movie a buddy of mine made me watch. It was called Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, and
oh my God,
it was exactly that. And I was like, who makes these films? And it was on Netflix for a minute, and I was like, do they not watch the movies that they put on here? Because I was like, I told my kids, I said, do not watch this movie, because if you watch something, it'll pop up, oh, you watch this and maybe you'll like this and that.
yeah.
But there was no other movies like Slaughtered Vomit Dolls on Netflix at that time.
Damn, they take you down a rabbit hole, man. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I kind of went it down into that disturbing movie thing. There was another movie, it was called Solo, the something, I can't remember. That movie was nuts. I don't think I could sit through that movie again. Once was enough. And if you guys, if any of you have seen it, Yeah, you know how it is, but it's not one I can recommend. That was one I would never sit through. It was weird. I went into Barnes and Nobles for what was going on in that thing and how crazy it was. They sell it.
That's crazy.
I saw the Criterion edition and I picked it up and I told my buddy, I said, "Hey man, have you seen this?" He went, "Ooh, put that thing down." I was like, it's that's not a good movie to watch. Everyone, stay away from that one. But I mean,
kind of piggybacking. I know, like I said, you're talking about these other, the American kind of body horror. Eli Roth. He was kind of one of the earlier guys in the early 2000s. He came out, or he was a part of, or was affiliated or produced a few kind of body horror movies, and a movie that just makes me just like feel sick is Cabin Fever.
ooh,
That movie and the second one was pretty bad. It was awful because he wasn't a part of it. But another one that he did was Hostel was another one. And then you can basically if Hostel's about a couple guys backpacking through Europe thinking they're going to have the time of their life, and they have nowhere to go, and they end up finding this kind of secluded hostel, and come to find out that they are now basically being a part of a pay for play type of situation. And if you haven't seen it, there's a gruesome Achilles scene towards the end of that movie that is just brutal.
And that Asian girl with when they like burned her eyeball out.
Oh my goodness, yes,
that was crazy too.
And even going back to Cabin Fever, I remember being so like they're secluded in this cabin, and the water's bad, and it's just all types of nasty stuff. And then when we start seeing their skin peel off, man, I was like, and I probably see that movie like 10 times as a little kid, like, oh my god, this is crazy. But Eli Roth kind of had that body horror. But then you kind of move into James Wan as you get into like the mid 2000s with Saw. And there's 20 of those movies, and they're all over the place, Hulu, Netflix. But to me, the original one cannot be beat.
Mm-hmm.
The twist at the end just is one of the. It might be I remember them saying it like at the time in the maybe early 2010s. That might have been one of the greatest twists, at the end of a film, which is kind of crazy.
That was one. I was surprised it made it to the little one-horse town that I live in. I listened to Howard Stern, and I guess he got a screener for it, and he came on his show and he was talking about it, going, "Oh my god, I watched this movie, man! You guys got to watch it. It's amazing. It's by these two new filmmakers. At that time, nobody knew who Lee Winnell and James Wan were. So he's like, "Oh man, it's really good." And they're like, "What's it about?" Because I can't tell you. You just got to watch it. So I was like, all right. I checked my movie listings and it was playing. I went actually like on a Thursday night. It was the last night that it was playing. There's 4 theaters in the theater I go to, and it was playing in the very, very back one, which is like a closet. And for some reason, every time I go see horror films, they're always way in the back. And I go during the week when nobody's in there, so it's just me. So I'm always in the very, very back theater, scared. I sit way up top in the back. So if someone's going to come in to try to get me, I can at least have a chance to see them come in and come through that door.
Give you about 10 seconds to think.
Yeah. But watching that Saw, I was like, oh man, this is cool. And of course, with the gore and everything that was going on in it. But when it got to the ending, I'm sure all you guys have seen it. When he just came to, when John Doe or whatever his name was laying there the whole time, I was like, what? Excuse me. That was a movie I got up and I applaud. I stood up in the theater by myself. I could not believe how amazing that movie was. And I was just blown away. And then I go to San Diego Comic-Con and I see Lionsgate Films there, and they're handing out posters for Saw 2. I went, there's a second one coming. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was going to be this huge franchise. And now there's 10 movies. And I think there's a new one coming pretty soon.
And they even have a spinoff with Chris Rock, which I haven't seen. Is it any good? Have you seen it?
That one was really good. Spiral.
Yeah.
Me and my son were talking about it the other day because he hadn't seen Saw X. I have all the movies, all 10 of the movies. And I had just rewatched Spiral on Hulu. And I remember it was kind of when everything was opening back up after the pandemic, the movie theaters. We actually went to a convention, a horror convention in Vegas. Days of the Dead, I believe it was, and it's still going around today, everyone, whether you believe it or not. But I remember we went to that convention, and of course I had my mask on. I show you my mask. It's around here. So it's a cool little half hockey mask that I bought. Anyway, we went to the convention, and then we went back. We're home. We flew back home. And then when we got there, it was still kind of early. I said, "Hey, let's go see that new Saw movie." So we went and seen it, and I was blown away. I wasn't expecting it to be good because the one before that one, Jigsaw.
Oh man, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, there was some kills that were cool, but it was just like, okay, this franchise is done.
And at that point, they were like trying to get the most elaborate kills, in each one, and tried to top it each one.
That's all those movies were.
Yeah.
I did like the little story that got you excited for the next film and everything. But yeah, Jigsaw was kind of like, next. I thought that was it. But then you hear Chris Rock, the comedian. He's coming out with a Saw film, and I'm like, all right, Spiral from the book of Jigsaw. I'm like, okay. So we go and see it, and I was blown away on how good it was. And the ending, I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh man, I can't wait for the next one. Then we get Saw X, Saw 10, whatever you want to call it. And it's a prequel to the first one of John, whatever his name is. I was like, what about the way Spiral ended? I mean, you just gonna leave us on a cliffhanger?
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm hoping that this next movie ties in with the regular Saw timeline and the Spiral one to come together to give us something mind blowing. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I was that last Saw, it was all right. I mean, it was good to see John again. Tobin Bell, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see him come back, but it was just it was all right. It wasn't too bad. Real quick. Going back to Cabin Fever.
Oh yeah.
Listening, if you guys listen to our 31 Days of Horror, I'm doing like franchise year. I did all the Cabin Fever movies. There's 4 of them? Yeah, there's 4. There's Cabin Fever.
I believe so. I've only seen the first 2.
Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Then there was Cabin Fever Patient Zero. Then in 2016, they did a remake, which is basically Eli Roth's movie, almost word for word, shot for shot. The ending was a little different, but did they need to make it? No. I just figured Eli Roth needed money to make his next movie, so that's probably why he said, "Yeah, go ahead, make it." So,
and what movie was that? I remember that movie. I can't think of the name of it. It was I'm gonna have to think of that because I remember him saying, because at the time AMC, the channel on cable, was talking about, hey, yeah, he said something in an interview, was like, yeah, I kind of just gave him the rights so I could make this movie, and I can't remember the name of the movie.
Okay, that movie came out in 2016. He had 2 movies that came out after. Death Wish, that remake with Bruce Willis, and then the House with the Clock in the Walls. I think that was just, hey, they just hired him.
I think it was Death Wish. I think it might have been. I can't remember exactly, but I remember that they had a plan to do that, and it might have been before the Cabin Fever remake.
Because Thanksgiving, that was the one that came out last year.
Yeah, he did that one. Yeah,
I liked it, but
I didn't see it. Is it all right?
It's worth watching if you like Eli Roth movies. But if you guys are familiar with Eli Roth, when that film first came to us, the audience, was during that film that Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino did, that double feature,
Oh,
Grindhouse,
yes.
which was amazing. Whatchamacallit wasn't a horror movie. Death Proof. It was still an awesome film. Planet Terror, that was hella good.
I don't think I've seen that one.
That one's awesome. You don't watch the one big movie, the Grindhouse one. Don't watch that one, because both of those movies are really cut up. They cut a lot out of them. Watch the separate ones. If you have Amazon, I think Death Proof was on there. Quentin Tarantino's one. That's the full movie that he made. That one's awesome. Planet Terror as well. If you can find just that movie itself, watch that version, because it's longer and it's not all cut up to film. But seeing Grindhouse in the theater was really cool. But anyway, that movie Thanksgiving, in between the films, they did some fake trailers. Rob Zombie did one. I think it was like Werewolf Women of the SS. The one guy that did Shaun of the Dead.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright did one called Don't. The trailer was cool. There was rumors that he was going to make it, but he never did. But Eli Roth had one that was called Thanksgiving, and that trailer was awesome. And then everyone was like, make it. And then he finally made it in 2023. It kind of had a little bit of what was in that trailer, but he just completely redid the whole film. Yeah, it took place on Thanksgiving, but it wasn't as gruesome as the fake trailer he made. It's still good. I mean, it's worth watching. It's just a slasher film, but I was like, all right, cool. He was losing me for a minute.
When he did Inglourious Basterds, that kind of rejuiced him a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, in the people's eyes, because he was kind of known as just a body horror guy, like a guy that just does nasty movies, and you can watch it one time. Because I remember he, like I said, I remember he did Inglourious Basterds, and I was so surprised that he played that character that he was in. Bear, the big bear.
I just remember him with that bat. They beat up, killed that Nazi dude.
Oh, he was the Nazi, the Nazi bear or something. Bear, I can't remember, but
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But
it's such a great movie. But
he did a movie called The Green Inferno. It was basically almost a ripoff of what was that movie I hated? It was like one of the I think it was the first found footage film. It's a cult classic. Everybody loves it. Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, the one where they had to go overseas and people thought it was real.
Yeah, I was like, it was overhyped to me. I think it came out like in the 70s. It's this, and it looked so real that they had to go to court. The director had to come to court and produce the actors that are in it to make sure that they're alive, to prove to him that they're alive. And I was like, whoa, it was just getting sold to me. Reading Fangoria, and then when the internet came around, watching videos on everyone saying how gruesome it is and how real it looked. I was like, oh, I remember seeing the VHS, but I never had any interest. But then I was like, you know what? My buddy of mine had it on DVD when it finally came out on DVD. So we watched it. And I was sitting there going, okay, I see. I mean, I could say I seen it, but it just looked so fake. I'm like, what in this looked real? Even for the 70s or whatever that is. I'm like, why? This does not look real at all, but okay. But I get it. Some of the people that were mad about the turtle scene when they killed that turtle.
Mm-hmm.
But being native, I mean, when we butcher animals, I mean, we do it to eat it. We don't just do it to kill it. They did eat that turtle. Yes, it was a little rough to watch, but it was a real turtle that they did it to, but they ended up eating it. So I was like, okay, I can get around that.
But gotta show everybody first.
Yeah, but in the end, that movie, I don't own it. I own all kinds of crazy movies, but that was one of those ones I was like, I don't need to own this. I watch it from time to time. It is streaming now, because for a long time it was like, this is a film that they don't want us to see, and it was on the video nasties lists
Yeah.
overseas and all that, and then now it's like nothing because
Yeah, I remember people used to make those, the most gory banned horror movies of all time, and that one was like number one every time on those
yeah,
lists you see on YouTube.
and all these movies, oh man, people were leaving the theater, people were throwing up and passing out, and I'm like, oh really? But so many movies like that have come out that they say that. I get it, they say they're trying to hype up their film, like cool, right on. I love the marketing thing, but I go to movies and I'm like, who? What? Obviously, it's someone that doesn't watch these type of movies.
Yeah.
If you listen to the E Society, I am the guy that likes to watch blood and guts. It doesn't bother me because I know it's fake. Real stuff like watching the news or seeing things. I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy things that I can't get out of my head, but like in real life, not on the movie screen.
Real quick, we have a question in the chat here. I'm very curious to see what you're going to say about this because this is interesting. I don't know if you can read it or not, but Jessica says, "Do you guys have any favorite horror movie sequels? If so, what are they?"
Oh,
I'm going to go ahead and ruin mine because we were going to talk about this one, and I guess we can after we both give our answers. Is the Alien, with Sigourney Weaver, and those sequels? Those are some of my favorite sequels. Now, is it my favorite horror film? Movies, no. But me and my mom, we just went and watched Romulus, and we loved it because we love Alien. But do you have a horror movie sequel favorites?
I have a bunch of them. I mean, I know we talked about Dawn of the Dead last time, and that was the second one out of Romero's films. Halloween movies are like the Michael Myers ones. I love Halloween 2. I will be covering that one, as well as Rob Zombie's dumbass attempt on the 31 Days of Horror. I hated that movie. I don't know what Rob Zombie was thinking. Season of the Witch, Halloween 3, I love that one. All the Friday the 13th sequels, except for Freddy, Jason Goes to Hell, trash. I loved all the kills, but the movie was terrible. Out of the Evil Dead movies, I thought 2 was my favorite. I really love that one. Army of Darkness is awesome, and then the remake or reboot or whatever they call it, that was cool. Even Evil Dead Rise, I thought that one was awesome. Speaking of Evil Dead Rise, rumors, I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is, I'm like, all right, cool. If you guys have seen that film, quick little spoiler, the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, I have mine around here somewhere. Anyway, they were in that movie, they were saying that there wasn't just one Book of the Dead, there was a few of them. And then when they said that in that movie, they're saying, well, because I was like, well, how does this movie tie into one another? They're saying that I think we talked about this before on the last one, the multiverse. So there's other multi timelines of Evil Dead. That's why there's multiple Necronomicons, the Book of the Dead. And when they said that, I was like, okay, I can see that. I'm all right, because that Book of the Dead in that Evil Dead Rise did not look like the one that was in the original 3 films or the reboot or whatever you want to call it, that they made, that Fede Alvarez did. Also, he did Romulus, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, because there's the Ash timeline, and that with the movies, and then with the TV series, which is amazing. If you guys haven't seen that, check that series, Ash versus the Evil Dead, awesome. Then the remake or reboot or whatever, and then Evil Dead Rise. So I'm saying that there might be 2, maybe 3 different timelines in that. So I'm like, all right, I can see that if you're saying there's multiple books. I'm like, okay, cool. We did talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. Dream Warriors was my favorite. I love that one. The Texas Chainsaw movies also.
We hadn't even got there yet.
I did a retrospective for E Society. I covered all the Texas Chainsaw movies. I am doing the remake as well as the prequel to the remake. I still got those final 2 episodes coming.
Jessica
in that
Bliss's
one.
Texas Chainsaw. Jessica Bliss's Chainsaw Massacre is my Chainsaw Massacre. That's mine.
Which one?
The one with Jessica Bliss.
Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel. That's what it is.
No.
Yeah, Jessica Biel. Sorry.
It was good. Awesome.
No, I loved it, man. That's mine.
I just watched it this morning again. I'm trying to watch a horror movie every day this month, and I started with Halloween Kills, which I need to go back to, and then I watched Texas Chainsaw, the remake.
I finally got to Terrifier 1 and 2, by the way.
Ooh,
I finally got to them.
What'd you think?
I'll say this. Okay, Chris Jericho is in the second one, but he's in the credits. So he's technically not in the movie. He's after the movie. But I'll say this. The story where he's resurrected in this to be in the second one makes zero sense to me. And with the little girl at the end. But I see the premise, and I thought the story for the first one was really good because they show you the ending at the beginning. Where the chick's got her face tore off. I'm sorry. They show you the beginning. They show you the end at the beginning, and then they start the first one or the second one with the ending of the first, which I like. But I thought they were good. I gave them 4 stars.
I still haven't seen the third one yet. I still need to get out and go see it. My son wants to see it, so he's telling me to wait. I said, well, what are you waiting for? Watch the first 2 so we can go see it. So I'm kind of waiting on him.
Yeah, they're laughing at me in the chat for saying Bliss instead of Beal. Oh. Dang it, maybe that's me. That's that lust coming through. My bad, y'all. Ah.
Out of the Texas Chainsaw movies, part 2 was my favorite. Exorcist, those ones we haven't really dug into those. I love the original. Second one I didn't care for, was trash. Exorcist 3, that one was really scary and good. Then they did those prequels, The Beginning or whatever. I think there was one called The Beginning, and then there was one called Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
It was basically the same film, but I guess they made Dominion first, and then the higher-ups watched it and said, this movie's terrible. Remake it. So they remade it, and then they gave us Exorcist The Beginning, which I didn't mind that one. That was all right.
What about The Omen?
Omen, I love the original, the first one.
Yeah.
The first one, I love that one.
What about the remake? Not the first Omen that just came out in 2023, but the remake. That one was okay.
All right. They kind of went along with the original one, so I was cool with that. Damien, Omen 2, that was my favorite one out of them. Final Conflict.
He's crazy, man.
The Final Conflict, Omen 3, it was okay. I just didn't like the endings. Like, seemed like they were running out of time and just ended. And I was like, well, that's it? It kind of ended you with a quote, I guess, from the Bible or something. And I was like, oh, man, you made Damien this tough-ass dude through the first 2 movies, and this is how he's going to go out? And I was like, yeah, man, next.
I'll tell you, the one of the craziest scenes, and I remember in the remake, they make it even worse. But the building piece coming off?
Oh, yeah.
Stabbing him in the mouth or whatever, goes straight through.
But he got hit with all that glass too.
Oh no, yeah, the glass too. The remake was the one with the spear or whatever, and then the glass is the first one, the original.
No, the spear was the original one, and the remake was the spear, whatever, that lightning rod or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
And glass.
Yeah, that's right. I know. I was like, dang, I feel like they've done both then. Yeah, but no, I didn't mind
the remake. I didn't mind the remake. It was all right. I haven't seen it in a while. Give me reason to watch it. But I mean, out of the first 3, original, second was my favorite. But Richard Donner's the Omen, awesome film. We talked about cursed films last week. If you guys have Shudder or AMC Plus or whatever, watched the series Cursed Films. They talk about the first one, Omen. The Richard Donner one, on what some of the stuff that was going on. Was it cursed? I don't know. Maybe it was just some crazy things that just happened to happen. But it was a really interesting documentary. Check that one out.
You know, something kind of piggybacking off the Omen and that type of movie. A movie that I've seen it 3 or 4 times, but I haven't seen it in a while. But I get kind of spooked out, and it makes me feel weird. is the Anthony Hopkins Last Ride. Have you seen that movie?
I saw it once. I must have
Man,
been tired. I fell asleep in
yeah,
it.
it was pretty good, man. I was like, man, this is pretty because he gets possessed and he's like trying to serve God, but he's possessed. It's just a weird.
Yeah,
It's weird, man. It's a weird dynamic. It's creepy though.
I need to rewatch it. I mean, I love Anthony Hopkins. I mean, I know people say Silence of the Lambs is a horror film. Yes, there's horrific stuff in it. Yes, what
Yes.
happens is, but I wouldn't put that. Me personally, I wouldn't put that movie in a horror list. It's an awesome film. I loved it. Won Best Picture that year, and it's actually the very first movie that I went and seen when I started seeing my wife when we never really dated. We just kind of hung out, but we went to the movies and we saw Silence of the Lambs. It was after it won Best Picture, but we went and saw it. So that's kind of our movie. So
dang, that's crazy. What do you think about, or do you think Seven falls in a horror movie?
I wouldn't put it there, but that's like my favorite Brad Pitt movie.
It's great, man.
That movie was awesome. I loved it. I can watch that. That's one of those movies, no matter how many times I've seen it, I can throw it in. Or even if I'm changing the channels and it's on, I'll watch it from whatever scene it is on all the way to the end. And the ending, we did an episode on WTF endings for E Society one time. I don't remember if that was my number one ending, but it was in there because what that ending was like, I was on the edge of my seat in the theater. A buddy of mine told me to go see it, and I went and seen it, and I was like, oh my God, when that whole what's in the box? Yeah, I was sitting there like, what was in the box?
And he's like, no.
Oh,
I was like,
man.
oh man.
That was really, but I felt for him, man. I would have done the same thing. I would have shot John Doe. Yeah,
man.
Kevin Spacey
Spacey.
He's a monster.
He's crazy. He's a wild guy.
Have you seen that little documentary on him? I don't know,
is he wilding out? Is he wilding out?
Being Spacey or something? I don't remember what it was. He didn't say he didn't do all the stuff he was accused of.
Oh man.
He kind of at the end he did. He didn't come on video and say this, but I guess he wrote to the producers and they added it at the end, basically saying, "I'm sorry for what I did, for this and that, and all this." So I don't know. It was a crazy documentary. I think it was on Max.
I'll say this though, man. When I found out that all this stuff about him, and then they wasn't able to finish House of Cards.
I didn't get into that show. I heard they killed him off.
Man, they killed him off in the season break. So basically, they killed him off camera. And I was like,
He started making convention appearances.
Oh wow!
And I am going to Albuquerque Comic-Con the beginning of next year in January. And he's going to be there. I don't know if he's going to be in where all the other people are that are signing autographs or if they're going to have him in a private room. I don't know. I mean, at conventions are weird depending on who the person is. Sting, for you wrestling marks out there. He was at Texas Frightmare, but he wasn't with everyone else. I mean, Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, he was right there signing and wooing with everybody. But
Sting was out too.
Sting was later he was because he was buying everybody drinks in the bar that night. Sting was in another room by himself. And I was like, man, I just wanted to see him. I mean, I've seen him in the ring a bunch of times, but I wanted to like see him at least walk up and, hey, right on, thank you. But nah, I mean, and after the pandemic and everything, a lot of people that go to the conventions still, they either have a big giant plexiglass thing in front of them or they wear the mask and everything. I mean, it's your choice. Do whatever to make yourself safe. But some people get frowned upon that. You're paying all this money and you're wearing a mask or you're behind this plastic. I'm like, then don't give me your money then. Have plenty other people are.
Yeah, but just look from afar then, I guess.
Yeah, so man, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but It's crazy on what's going on. But yeah, Kevin Spacey. I love a lot of the movies he was in, but I don't agree with what he did. Do not force yourself on anybody. It's just wrong. Period. What he was accused of. Well,
Man,
actually,
yeah,
I
and there was
guess
some
he.
wild stuff in there too.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to get into Vince McMahon. That's
Yeah,
another.
well, yeah, I mean,
That's
that's a
another
whole.
kind of monster.
No, that's a crazy dude right there. Did you watch? Okay, I know this is not horror, and I know people are probably like, "Oh, here comes the WWE." Did you watch the documentary or
Yeah, I
the
did,
series?
man. I
I,
mean,
God, I watched that thing like twice.
I believe it. And the way he just it was it said at the beginning of it, a lot of these interviews were filmed before those accusations came out, and then
He still
as
said
soon,
some wild stuff.
yeah, he even said it in the very beginning, and he was like, "Well, is there some things you can't tell us?" Oh, there's plenty of things, but I'll never talk about it. And we all know now.
Dang, he had a storyline where he was trying to get his daughter pregnant. In story, he was like, "Yeah, I was trying to get Stephanie pregnant," and then he like he was like, "Oh, I mean, in storyline." It's like, God,
Oh man,
this dude's crazy.
I could see why everyone's jump ship.
Yeah, they had to get him out of here. But anyways,
Back to sequels. Are you a Child's Play fan?
so you know what's so funny? I was watching 101 Scariest Movies on Shudder earlier today, and I forgot how funny Chucky was. Literally, literally within the first 30 minutes, when she realizes that his batteries are not even in the first one, and she's like, "What?" And so say something. He's like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And she's like, "What? Say something." And he's like, "Okay," he just goes off on her. Leave me the F alone.
I like the first three films.
Yeah,
I like those. Once it got into Seed of Chucky and Bride of Chucky and the Cult of Chucky and the Curse of Chucky, I
with
tuned out.
what's that lady's name? Jennifer White.
Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly.
I love her. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But
she's good.
I did
Yeah,
not care.
that was for my
for the-
generation right there.
I
They were trying to get us.
I did not care for those movies. The first three I did enjoy. Those are the only ones that I own.
What about Gremlins?
I love the first one. That's a holiday Christmas film.
Yeah,
Get ready, December's coming. Part 2, Gremlins, the new batch. I liked it. I mean, it's not a movie I watch all the time, but Gremlins, for being PG and all the violence that's in that, I let my grandsons watch it, and I must have completely forgot about everything that was going on in that thing. I was like, wow, man, this is pretty gruesome. I mean, especially that scene with the mom, Billy's mom, killing all the gremlins in her house.
Yeah.
I mean, she blew one up in the microwave, stuck one in the blender, stabbed one with a knife, and then they chopped its head off and flew into the fire. And it was crazy what was going on in that movie. But it is a holiday classic. I love it.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. These sequels and these movies are, some people say that they're the worst movies, best movies ever. And The Trolls.
I like the first one. The second one, I don't know what they were trying to do. I did like that documentary though. I like the best,
It was
worst
good.
movie ever made. I actually met one of the actors that played one of the trolls. I can't remember the gentleman's name. There was a show on one of these reality shows that my wife watches. I think it was called the Little Chocolatiers or something. It was about this guy and his wife or whatever. They were little people, and they made chocolate. And they had a little chocolate factory, a chocolate store in Salt Lake City. And we went there, and high price chocolates. I'm not the one for sweets. I'll eat it if it's there, but I don't like have to go buy it. And we went in, and he was in there, and I was looking at him, and I said, "Were you in Troll 2?" And he went, "Yeah." I went, "Okay, cool." My son and my daughter got a picture with them. They never seen the film. I mean, that movie, I can watch it if I'm with a bunch of friends that have never seen it and they want to watch something dumb. But it's not a movie that I own. I own the first one. I did like that one. I saw that one in the theater when it first came out because that came out right around the same time as was it Ghoulies? I think it was Ghoulies. Um, I think there's what 4 of those movies. I didn't see the last couple. I saw the first 2, Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2. I love both of those films. Had to do with the devil worshiping and all that in it, but they're cool little movies. But yeah, Troll 2. If you guys have not seen it, it has nothing to do with the first Troll film. I don't even think they were trolls. They were like more like goblins and demons.
Yeah, I know they
in that one.
was looking crazy. Like the prosthetic, you could tell like the first one, the practical effects in the first from the first to the second one is just like, man, this is kind of different.
Yeah, it was definitely a movie.
Yeah,
I mean, but little monster films. There's one that came out a while ago in the 80s. I think it was called The Gate. That one came out in 87 and it starred Steven Dorff. For those of you when he was a kid, that one was really cool. I liked what was going on in that. The small little I don't know, little troll looking demon guys that came out when they opened up the gate. I thought that was pretty cool. Um it's creepy. I have not seen it in a really long time. For those of you, hey, shout out to Jessica. She said The Gate freaked me out. Yeah, it scared me too when I was little. Well, I guess I was little, 16 when it came out, but it was still creepy. That's on Tubi for those of you guys that want to know what The Gate is. It's a good movie. It's a good little 80s PG-13 horror fantasy film. I enjoyed it. Definitely check it out. But that was cool. But it's cool though. Stars that are like big now. I mean, I think we kind of talked a little bit about this. I mean, a lot of big stars started in horror films.
yep.
I mean, Academy Award winners have starred
hmm
in horror films. I mean,
Dang, some of them are going back. They're losing their star. They got to go back. Did you see the They Them movie from Kevin Bacon? Did
which
you
one?
watch that on Peacock? They Them.
Oh no, I heard it was just no good.
Man, it was we were thinking about watching it. We watched the trailer, man, and it looked terrible. And I looked at the reviews but what I mean though is like you see these stars who in the 70s, 80s and 90s, they're like amazing. But they got to go back to horror like who's the guy that was Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice is another one too that's kind of it's horror comedy.
Oh,
I can't think of his name.
Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a lot of people's Batman. He's not my Batman. Adam West is my Batman, boys.
If you guys want to hear us talk about Batman, go all the way back to March and it's Society of E episode, that's what I named it. That's the name of the episode, Society of E. We talk about we talk about Batman, we talk about all that stuff. Go back and check that out if you want to know who Nez's Batman is.
I mean, I
He's
get
even
it.
got the
Man.
shirt on right now.
Yeah, this is Batman. I don't know which one though. But Kevin Bacon, he did a movie back in 2016. I was just like, I think, it's when I actually started, when I started my podcast in 2016, and I did talk about this movie, The Darkness with Kevin Bacon. Oh my God. I mean, I get it. You got to work, you got to pay the bills, you got to keep the lights on, but this movie was terrible. I'm surprised it was in the theater. Usually it should have just went straight to streaming, but
what was it about? I'm trying to think if maybe I've seen it.
Quick synopsis. Peter Taylor, Kevin Bacon, and his wife Bonnie and their 2 children return to Los Angeles after a fun-filled vacation at the Grand Canyon. Strange events soon start to plague the family, including young son Michael's increasingly erotic behavior. The Taylors learn that Michael brought back some mysterious rocks that he discovered inside a cave.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was bad.
I mean, it wasn't their son's fault. He was an autistic kid, and he fell into this I think they call it a burial ground or whatever, a native Indian
they had
burial
to add that
ground.
to it.
Yeah, I was like, what? And then I guess whatever it was followed them to the house, and all kinds of crazy things were happening in it. Basically,
So
trying to make us be the evil spirits and everything.
our
And
spirits are the ones that
it's
are
like, well, it wasn't you.
haunting.
Well, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't like he was looking for it, and he didn't know what it was, and he took it home, and then all the craziness started happening. It'd be different if it was like Indiana Jones went and found it, and then all hell started happening to him. But
I was
I
about to
love
say,
I love
hey,
those films.
shout out to one of the best, I guess you could say, creature features is Tremors. That's probably that's up there for me too in terms of sequels. I love I've seen every single one of them multiple times.
We also covered the first two films this year on 31 Days of Horror. The last one I saw was the one when they were in the snow. I don't know which
Oh,
one
that
that one
was
was.
it was Bert was still no yeah, Bert. I know, is it Bert? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
Bert's
only
in
one
that
that
one.
was in all of them.
Hey, respect to him for making sure. But you know what's crazy though? I forgot Reba McEntire was in the first one.
Yeah, she
She
was the
played the
best.
wife.
Her and Kevin Bacon were supposed to come back and do the second one, but she couldn't do it because she was about to start a tour. So that was the reason why she couldn't. They wrote her out of it. Kevin Bacon like read the script, and I guess he was gonna do it, but then he got um Ron Howard's Apollo 13.
Mm.
So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go with Richie Cunningham and make a space movie. I mean, good decision. I mean, Apollo 13 was an awesome film. Um, I guess they filmed a pilot for a second Tremors TV series. I didn't know there was a first one.
I didn't know there was either. Oh, maybe.
One
I
of
don't
my
know.
friends told me when we were talking about it. He goes, "Did you ever watch the TV series?" I said, "What TV series?" Because they made one. I was like, "Shout out to my boy Taylor. He's the one who told me." I was like, I didn't even know that because I saw a trailer for the pilot, and Kevin Bacon was in it. They looked good, but it never came out. I'm like, well, if you're not going to do that, you're just going to tease us with this trailer for the pilot. Release the pilot. It's made.
Yeah.
And it looked good. I mean, obviously, Kevin Bacon thought it was cool. Let's see it. I mean, not saying all his movies are good, but I don't know, man.
Another movie that I saw, and I don't know if you've seen this movie, and if you haven't, it's on Shudder right now, is Oddity.
Everyone's telling me to watch it. I have not watched it yet. I am going to put it into my horror watch. I know it's what's today's date? The 22nd.
Yeah.
So I got another week and a half of horror films to watch. Well, I watch horror films every day of the year.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yes, a buddy of mine told me, he goes, "Dude, you gotta watch. You gotta watch." I said, I'm like, okay, I know where it is. I'll watch it. I've said this before. I don't like if it's something new. I don't like reading about it. I won't watch a trailer. I'll just find it, click it, and then if I enjoy it, I enjoy it.
I'm gonna say this.
I love watching movies that way.
There's a scene so we're sitting there watching it. I'm not expecting anything. I'm just like, because this movie doesn't hit you with the normal jump scares, and it hit me with a different jump scare, and I literally screamed. I haven't screamed at a horror movie maybe ever, and my wife is laughing here right now because she remembers. She died. We had to pause it because she just kept laughing at me. I'm telling you, that's how freaky that movie got me. I think it did when me and my wife first got together. We watched a movie called Piawacket. It's about a teenage girl who gets involved with this demon or this native spirit. It's kind of a native spirit, but it basically torments her. And there's a scene in there that basically this thing is on all fours and its head's all crazy. And I remember being like I was like, it like took my breath away. I was so shook. And the reason why I bring Piawacket up is there was a movie I watched today called Daddy's Head. It's on Shudder.
Is that good? I've seen it when I scroll around through there.
It is the ending is cannot maybe satisfying, but Daddy's Head the creature looks like the Piawacket creature. But I don't know. I gave it 3. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Letterbox. That's another one. If you guys, people are hyping that one up, like this is the scariest movie of the year. Now, granted, when things are talking to you from the vent, that is scary. When things are talking to you through a window, a la Salem's Lot, the original,
Oh, that
that
still
crap is
scares me.
creepy.
That still scares me. That little boy floating there.
So if you guys like, if you and it does have a weird body thing to it, you know, the kid. Basically, so the premise is this kid lost his mother and his mother, but then his father remarried to a woman I don't think really loved him, but you know he's rich. He's a very rich man. And so he passes away unfortunately, and then the movie takes off. There's a lot of different hidden things that you're like, okay, maybe she was cheating on him, maybe she wasn't, maybe she really did love him, you know. And you know this monster, the way it says the kid's name is just nasty. It's a gurgly. I don't know. I'm not gonna give the ending away, but Daddy's Head on Shutter and then Oddity on Shutter. Now there's 2 movies that are coming out this weekend that I am really excited about. The first one I cannot wait. Or the first one I'm going to tell you came out this past weekend. It's called Mads. It's a zombie post-apocalyptic movie. Basically people are taking this medicine or this drug and they're going crazy. The second one that's coming out this weekend that I'm really excited about is called Azazel. People have been hyping this movie up at all the film festivals for the last couple months. And basically it drops you off in the middle of a chase scene and there's no dialogue in this movie, but the rapture has already happened. People have been taken up to heaven. And the only people left are the raptured.
What is this on?
Shutter. Comes out on Friday.
Is it like They Live? Not They Live. Left Behind. See that?
No, it didn't seem like that. It wasn't. But the chick is getting chased by a very extreme cult that believe that they're left behind to save the raptured, basically. But there's no dialogue in this whole movie. But there's a creature in this movie too. So I don't know. I don't really know what it's about, but people have been hyping it up.
Message me those titles so I'll remember.
Because yeah, man, I those are 2 movies that I'm like so excited to watch it. But a movie, have you watched Long Legs yet?
No, I meant to watch it. I had a week to watch it, everyone. I forgot.
We all had homework, man. No,
I forgot, everyone.
No, it's all good.
I was supposed to see that in Terrifier 3, and I failed.
Now life happens, but kind of moving on. You know, we
really quick,
another
jump.
Go ahead.
In the comments, Jessica. Yeah, I like that line too from Tremors. Here's some Swiss cheese and bullets. And she also brings up Fire in the Sky. That was a film it was sci-fi. It was scary. I saw it I think when it came on cable. My wife went and saw it with my mother-in-law, and they were telling me that I'd like it. So when it came out, no, we rented it on VHS, and I watched it. I recently watched it with one of my sons because he fell down into reading things about aliens and UFOs and all that. He was the one that him and his cousin saw something outside one night. On the res where we live we live on kind of outside of town, up on the hill, almost to the tree line, up the street. They were outside playing, doing whatever they were doing, and they saw something go up. And I was like, well, what? He goes, I don't know what it was. It just went straight up and then took off. And they were both scared. They came in the house. I had to walk his little cousin home. He lived across the street. He didn't want to walk home by himself, so they walk him across the street. But I said, you should watch this movie, Fire in the Sky. So he watched it, and he was kind of freaked out. We were going to go down to Snowflake or wherever. Well, that's where that guy was from in the film. Travis Walton. I guess where the incident actually happened isn't even in Snowflake. It's somewhere far up in the mountains. But that movie they made, I mean, it was good and it was creepy. I think we covered it last year on 31 Days of Horror. It was spooky and creepy. I mean, I liked it because the alien, the alien beings that they showed in it, they weren't all scary looking. I mean, they were scary looking, but they were like the typical aliens that we see when you like a emoji, like you type in alien emoji and you get that oddball egg looking head with the big black eyes. That's what you see, and that's what these aliens in it look like. I thought that was really cool, and I loved what was going on in it. The special effects of the early 90s. I don't think there was CGI in it from what I remember, but it was a good story and it was a true story. Believe it or not, I do believe. I'm not sure if this guy is still alive, but I remember reading some stuff that he does. Excuse me, appearances at sci-fi conventions and talks about his story. And I would love I think he's still alive. I would love to sit there and listen to what he has to say and what he went through. Because I mean, what we saw in the movie was spooky and everything, and of course they gotta dramatize it up and everything to keep the audiences happy in their seats. But I thought it was a good movie. A lot of those films dealing with alien abduction is crazy. Was that The Fourth Kind?
The Fourth Kind. I was about to say
That was scary,
man.
That was hella
You want to
scary.
talk? I remember being. I was a little. I was it mid 2000s or might have been 2000, early 2010s. I think is when that movie came out. I believe. But I remember watching it the first time, and they tried to say inspired by true stories. I said, "Dang, for real." And then I remember Jankovic had to come out and say, "Hey guys, this is not a real movie. Like this is fake. This is like not based on a true story." And I remember people were losing their minds because they were like, "What? This is happening in Anchorage, Alaska?"
Oh man, that movie was scary.
Man, it was. Especially like the little this is recorded from an actual hypnosis, and it was like, nah, this is crazy.
I mean, when you talk about screaming in movies, shout out to my girl Becca. We went and saw it, and I can't remember what scene it was. She screamed so loud, and it made me go ah. I mean, I wasn't scared on what was going on in the movie. It was because she just screamed. But that was pretty spooky. And
Another
whatever you believe in, I mean, aliens or not, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to experience anything.
Another kind of
that
horror
I see in movies.
Another kind of alien movie that came out last year is No One's Gonna Save You. What'd you think about that?
Which
Did you
one?
see that on Hulu?
Which
No
one?
One's Gonna Save You.
Oh.
It's about the girl. It starts out as a home invasion, but come to find out it's really aliens. It came out on Hulu. That was pretty good.
That made my best of list last year. That was a good movie, man.
Man, it was.
It was one of those nights I was just kind of scrolling around and I kind of read the little synopsis and this sounds all right. If it's boring, I'll change it. So I clicked on it and watched it. Oh man, I loved what they did in that film. And
that first 20 minutes, man, had my heart racing because I'm like, because she's just narrowly escaping every whatever that she's like. Well, it didn't show you until it shows you, but she sees somebody coming and she's all hiding, and then basically knocks all the power out. I mean, it's like another movie that kind of, and this is not sci-fi, but The Strangers, the first one, the original. My parents lived out in the middle of the country, outside of Muskogee, Oklahoma, and I remember seeing that movie and coming home because they have kind of windows that are similar to the windows, where you have the curtain drawn and you pull them back. I always, man, that movie made me scared to look out of windows at night.
See, those type of movies are scary because there was no unstoppable killers and no aliens or whatever. I mean, these were just crazy people that just decided one day to terrorize this couple in that house. That first one was really good. I did like the second one.
Second one was okay. The trailer park one.
Yeah, I did like that one. This last one,
Man,
chapter 1 or whatever it was called. If you saw the original Strangers, you saw the new one. It
yeah.
was the exact same movie. And then I hear that it's a trilogy, so we got 2 more coming. I'm like, really?
And you know what's crazy about the first one is at the very end she said, "Why did you do this to us?" And the girl goes, "Because you were home." And I was like, and your heart just drops because you're like, man, what if you just fake like he wasn't home?
That
You know,
was
did
that was scary, man. You got someone knocking on your door, and is Tamara there? I was,
oh
oh
man,
man. I mean, that's scary. I mean, yeah, people have knocked on my door in the middle of the night, but I don't answer the door.
we
I
got a
don't care
question
who it
here.
is.
What did y'all think of Alien Romulus?
I had a lot to say when we discussed this film. What Fede Alvarez did, I did enjoy. I liked it. It was basically just an alien movie, play by play. Find the alien, the aliens hatch, all hell breaks loose, and then you kind of destroy it at the end. Well, you think.
You think you do? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's what every alien movie was. But the issue I had with it, I did not hate the movie. I thought it was an awesome film. I went and saw it twice. I'll buy it when it comes out. Speaking of that film, I heard they're releasing a VHS copy of that movie. I'm like, is VHS making a comeback? Because if it is, I don't have a VCR anymore. But anyway,
I don't
anyway.
think anyone does. I mean, there might be some people out there, but
Oh
yeah.
no, there's some diehard VHS watchers out there. They have VHS conventions and meetups
Oh, that's crazy.
and
I had no idea.
everything. I mean, I showed you my Dream Warriors VHS
Yeah,
last week. But
That. But you don't have one. You don't have a VCR.
I don't
Though.
have a VCR. I have one in the storage room. I don't know if it works, but even if it did, I'd probably have to clean it out somehow. But anyway, Romulus, it was awesome. I loved it. I loved the effects. I loved the aliens and everything. I loved how they show us a little more before it actually becomes the giant xenomorph that we all see. The issue I had with it was how they came across the original xenomorph from the first Ridley Scott's film. If you guys remember when Ripley shot it out of her airlock or whatever, and it blew off into space. When these salvage people or whatever go to where the Nostromo blew up, if you've seen the original film, you saw how big that explosion was and how it just
Disintegrated everything.
And that big blast, and you had to get so far away from it or it affected you, because when Ripley took off, she punched it. She still hit a little bit of the shock wave. Anyway, so who knows? That this pieces should have been shot in every direction for who knows how many miles. I don't know how far away she was when it was after the Nostromo blew up and she shot that alien out of the airlock. Those guys come back, those little salvage people from, I assume, Wayland, Watani, or whatever sent them there. They go back to where the Nostromo was blew up. And all the pieces are right now, not all the pieces, but majority of the blown up ship is all floating right there in space. I went, I was like, really? I get it. I mean, that's how they're gonna move the story along.
They got to try to fill in those because I remember like I said, I'm such an alien nerd. You know, I look at the timelines, and the one thing I liked about Romulus was the fact that they do fill in that hole of how did that xenomorph get to that planet where Ripley goes and saves the with her and Bill Paxton's in that one. I can't remember if that's the second or the third one.
What was
Might
the
have been
second one? Aliens.
It does kind of explain how they have those xenomorphs on those planets because Wayland, you know, in the movie, if you guys have not seen Romulus, these people are trying to escape this prison planet. Essentially, they're basically indentured servants to Wayland, and they realize that they're never supposed to get off this planet. They're only supposed to work. And Wayland is realizing that humans can't survive on other planets like this. And so Wayland is continually trying to find planets where they can inhabit. And that's where this group of people basically steal a salvage. They go to this retired, quote unquote, retired or it's called Romulus space station, where uh, this is where it gets weird. Where they picked up the egg of one of the face huggers.
No, it was the actual xenomorph from the first one. That's what that's why I rolled my eyes about it, because when that one shot out, that Ripley shot out of her little
Oh, that's right. That's
her
right. That's
rescue
right.
ship, she was miles and miles away from the actual explosion where Nostromo blew up. And then when those salvage guys rolled back up to where the Nostromo pieces were floating around,
And they grabbed the xenomorph.
Yeah, the cocoon xenomorph.
Yeah.
Was
You're right. Okay.
I
But
was
then
like, there's no way that thing should have been close to the explosion. I mean, I don't know how many years it was after. I can't remember what they said, but I was like, no, that'd be different if they were floating around out in space and they found it. Okay, all right, I get it. But I was like, no, I rolled my eyes at the beginning. I was kind of like, next. But as the movie went on, I did enjoy everything that was going on. So
yeah, and so then they get those, the xeno. I forget. Okay, I forgot about that part. Yeah, they get that xenomorph. Then they get the eggs, and young people doing dumb things. And one thing I did like about it, though, in terms of the plot, is that they brought back I can't remember what they're called, the artificial intelligent bot thing. They resurrected him, and he basically, his whole mission, he knew. I guess in the movie it's revealed. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. Close your ears. But they reveal basically he knew when Ripley and them found this face hugger, or they were on that planet. He knew the whole time that they were supposed to be going there to grab one of those things.
Well, they knew the aliens in the first film. They knew that spaceship that it was on, that they had one of the, or I guess assuming there was a queen on it because they had all those eggs on it. So they knew it was there. They knew it the whole time that was on. That they've been always wanting it. So we never really know exactly how Wayland Yutani found out about this alien species and why I wanted it. They wanted one so bad. That's what pretty much every movie is. They wanted it to bring back to Earth.
Did you see that they're doing Alien Earth?
Yeah, the TV show is going to be Alien Earth, but then they're saying this is supposed to be way before Alien. I'm like, wait, what's going on?
This is going to be crazy.
So, I mean, just make it good. That's all I want. So it knew about it all the time. That's why it sent Ripley and the gang to LV-427 or whatever it was called to there. They knew it was there. They said, get it and bring it back. Ash, the synthetic, the android, he knew it was there. He knew what they wanted. And the crew was expendable. So they said, whenever you get a chance, Ash, kill everyone and bring that thing back. But then that didn't happen. And then we got aliens. But then Wayland, they also knew, look, we know that those aliens are on that planet. So that's when they sent all those colonists up there. And then they actually sent them, hey, there's a spacecraft way out in the middle of nowhere. Go over there and investigate. And that's when Newt's family went over there and brought one of the facehuggers back, and then all hell broke loose. I'd like to see that movie on how the xenomorphs took over that little
the space station or whatever.
Yeah, where they were. I want to see that. And then it's like the company knows all of this, and then it goes on and on and on and on with this. I mean, out of the original 4 Alien films, everyone always goes to Aliens, James Cameron's film. Awesome film.
Yeah, that's a great one.
My
Resurrections.
My favorite one is Alien 3.
Okay.
And that's like everyone's least favorite. Well, they also Resurrection. They don't think. I mean, I like that one. It was fine. I just recently watched it, and it's got my girl in it. Shout out to Winona Ryder. I love her. So
Lydia. That she's known as Lydia.
I watched it mainly because she was in it. But I mean, the movies are crazy. And then we got Prometheus, and then we got
Yeah,
Alien Covenant. I didn't like Covenant. I thought that one was lame.
man. The way that I don't, man, the whole the movie in general where you're finding out that like this is how he created the aliens and basically I don't know, is it David or is it I can't remember I think it's David, right?
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
David.
basically he killed all the kind of what it alludes to. I don't know if he actually did it, but all the he basically let out all of that little whatever that slime stuff on the uh I can't think of the engineers. He let out all that slime on them to basically turn them into whatever. He
See
killed them all basically.
that's what I was confused with about this slime that the engineers found or made or whatever. I was confused on that. I mean, Prometheus I've seen many times. I remember after when I first saw Prometheus, I left the theater like, what? I mean, I love Prometheus, but I just had so many more questions that didn't get answered because they're like, oh, this is a prequel to Alien. I'm like, okay, cool. We get to see where it came from. I don't know if it came from this. I know the xenomorphs, as they went along, they changed because that one we see at the end of Prometheus all kind of look like the xenomorphs that we know, but it came from an engineer. So I mean, that's why it was different. And then we got that. Then Covenant came, and
It's
then
like the skinny one.
it didn't even uh, kind of really tie into what was going on in Prometheus, because then those xenomorphs in there look like the ones that we know today. So I was kind of, I was kind of disappointed with that film. And then we didn't get nothing for a long time, and then Romulus came along, which was awesome. But to me, Romulus was an awesome film, but it was basically um Alien Resurrection or whatever that one was
Mm-hmm.
called. It was almost the exact same thing on what was happening in it. So again, it was a good movie. Everybody in it was awesome. The all-star of the movie was David Johnson. He played the synthetic, the android.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, he was good.
Andy, he was awesome every time he was on the screen. He was definitely the all-star. I loved that character. I don't know if we're getting any more movies. All I know is we're getting this TV show that's coming. So I'm ready for it, man. Just
Yeah,
make it good. Um, and as far as Alien versus Predator, I liked both of those
I
films.
did too. I loved them.
I know everyone hated them, but give me a third film because the way
Well, they've been
uh,
they're teasing it in Prey. They teased it. They've been teasing it a little bit. The Predator, Alien versus Predator, because now they're both owned by the same company.
so technically the Queen Alien is a Disney queen.
Yeah,
So, but
technically.
oh, I mean, all the movies I enjoy all of them. I own all of them. I own the box sets and everything. But Covenant is my least favorite out of all of them. But I mean, it's a good series. I like what they did. They also spawn off into comic form. Those are really good. Alien Colonial Marines. If you guys read comic books, check out that series. That was a really good one. Alien Labyrinth, I did like that one. They kind of took some of the stuff from that comic, and that's what they made in Alien Resurrection, where they had the science vessel had aliens on it. There was one of the scientists, he had an actual xenomorph with the sting over its head, and he was like walking it around like on a leash. It was crazy
Dang.
in that book, but it was cool. I like what they're doing, and yeah, as far as a TV show, I'm excited. But Alien Romulus, it is a good movie. I will buy it when it comes out. I saw it twice in the theater, so I want to watch it again.
So
Um,
speaking of alien movies, and I'm just saying alien sci-fi in general, have you seen, or I guess a movie that I really enjoyed? It was on Paramount Plus. It was called Significant Other. I think I lost him, but one of the movies that I've seen, um, sci-fi related that I've really enjoyed is uh,
Back,
sig-
sorry.
oh, Significant Other. It's on Paramount Plus. It's a basically a prequel to an alien invasion. You'll have to go check it out if you have. Have you seen it, Significant Other, on Paramount?
I don't think so. It sounds familiar.
Basically, this couple goes camping, and along the way, they start realizing that each other are acting different, and they can't put their finger on it. And then it's revealed, later on in the movie. But I would say it's like a alien type movie.
Oh, I did see this. Yes, I watched it. Okay, yeah, I did see this film. I knew the name.
The ending was like, whoa, because it's starting to like, it's almost like, and here's another one, Invasion of the Body Snatchers we hadn't talked about with Donald Sutherland, the original, not the original, but the remake.
That
But
was a remake. Yeah.
yeah, but the original, I'm not watching anything like in black and white. So
Come on.
the Body Snatchers.
I mean, The Significant Other, that was an awesome film. It took me a minute. I knew the title, but I clicked on it. I went, oh, okay, I did see this one. But yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that one was scary. I mean, something like that happened, and it just kind of happens overnight. I mean, even I love black and white films. My favorite being Creature from the Black Lagoon. But the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I mean, they've made so many movies like that. It with craziness like that. But that one, the 70s one, that with Donald Sutherland, I mean, rest in peace. He just passed away, I think, this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, that ending. I love it when they were like, when they knew someone wasn't invaded, they would always point at them and make that sound.
because
Oh man.
it was like you were unsure, but it was
Yeah.
basically if you fell asleep, you got taken over,
Yeah.
or they I don't know, redid you
Yeah.
or whatever.
Cloned you or whatever.
Yeah, they cloned you. But I mean, that was scary. I mean, that was a good ending though, because
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
after the hell that they went through, and they were all saying, "Don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep," because he almost did fall asleep at one point,
Mm-hmm.
because he was sitting in that little lawn chair in the back, and he just couldn't take it no more. He kind of put his head back, and then you saw that little whatever it was crawling on his face, and those pods that were right there started to open up, and their cloned bodies or whatever was coming out, and he happened to wake up, and then like, oh man, and then took that shovel and basically killed himself, his
Mm-hmm.
clone and everything. But yeah, I mean, you didn't know if he made it and through. Spoiler alert, you should have seen it. The movie came out in 78. He's walking through what's that? It's in San Francisco, that little civic center area. He's walking along. It doesn't look like that anymore, everyone. They totally changed it. But he's walking along, and Veronica Cartwright, her character Nancy, Veronica Cartwright, she was also in the original Alien film. She's walking along calling Matthew, Donald Sutherland, calling him Matthew, and then he turns around and looks, and she sees him, and she's like all happy walking up to him. Then he turns around and points at her and makes that crazy noise, and she just and then the movie's over.
Movie's over.
I was like, I mean, did she get away? Did they get her? And you didn't know who was who. It looked like, it seemed like that they just took over everybody like really fast. I mean, it was crazy. Even got the original guy, Kevin McCarthy. He was in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He got his cameo, because in that one, at the end of that one, you see him running around. They're here. They're gonna get us all. He's running around. He comes running in onto the screen in this one. They're gonna get us. That was a really cool cameo of him. But the movie's, it's like 2 hours long. I mean, they could have shortened it, but I mean, I liked it. That was the one I saw first before I saw the original one. Then they did all these other remakes of it.
And they've done so many different movies that have the same premise.
Yeah,
I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but they've done a few of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, as far as like alien invasion horror, I mean, there's a ton of them out there. I think one movie it was it came out in the
I know Amy. Is it Amy Adams was in one that was called The Arrival.
oh yeah.
I haven't seen that one in a while, but and then there was one with Natalie Portman, I believe. No,
No, that was
might have been Natalie Portman.
wasn't oh
Uh,
shit. I know
not Interstellar. I want to say Interstellar, but that's not it.
I couldn't even understand that movie at all. Interstellar.
Yeah,
I know which one you're talking about. That one with Natalie Portman. I think Hawkeye was in that one too.
I think so. Yeah,
Jeremy Renner. Someone's probably
Yeah.
yelling it. But there was a
Yes.
good movie that came out in '53 called Invaders from Mars. It was a little sci-fi horror film, and this little kid finds out that there's invaders from Mars coming to take over his little town. And it was awesome. I loved it. Then they did a remake in 1996. The great Toby Hooper, rest in peace, that directed the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He came back with Invaders from Mars, the remake, and I love the original one, but the remake is amazing. I loved it. The special effects, the horror aspect that's there, the dread is also like, hurry up, they're gonna get you, or who's infected, who's taken over by the aliens, because there was this little the Martians put some kind of little needle looking thing in the back of your neck. Basically, that's how they were able to control you. And only ones that knew about it was this little school kid and his teacher. And they're running around trying to save the world or save the town from these invaders. But I mean, if you guys have not seen that movie, definitely check it out. There is a nice copy on YouTube if they didn't take it down yet. If you have Tubi and all that, I'm sure it's streaming there. But Invaders from Mars is a really good remake. I loved that one. I saw that in the theater when it first came out. It was actually a double feature. It was the original and this one and the remake. So I thought that was really cool. I love those old cheesy 80s films. I mean, there's so many invasion movies. I mean, alien invasion films. I mean, you can just go down a list, and are they all good? No, but a lot of them are good. There was even one little story in VHS. Have you seen those movies?
Is that the VHS 99? All those Beyond, and like on Shutter?
Yeah, it's a part of that series. I can't
haven't
remember.
seen any of them.
Oh, you haven't?
Are they
Oh,
good?
man.
Is it good?
Yes. I haven't seen the latest one yet. I've seen all the other ones.
Okay, I had to check it out.
I think it was it? I can't remember if it was 2 or if it was the third one, Viral. There's a story. They're all like found footage films. There's kind of a little wraparound story that kind of doesn't make sense in the second or the third one. But in one of the stories, I think it's in the third film, it's they put a GoPro on a dog, and they're all kind of hanging out at their house, and there's an alien invasion. But I just loved how they shot the film by putting a little camera on a dog and running around. Obviously, the dog didn't catch all this on film, but you see that it's got a GoPro on it, but I'm sure they had a camera on something that they were wheeling around filming it all. But I mean, those type of invasion films are really cool. But if you guys have not seen any of the VHS movies, they're all really good. Viral is probably not my favorite one, but they're all good. They're anthology stories. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 of them. The newest one just came out earlier this month. VHS Beyond. I haven't seen it yet, but all the other ones. I think VHS 2 is probably my favorite. I came across this series only when the first one was out. One of my friends told me, "Go, hey man, I watched this movie, but I fell asleep. But I think you'll like it. It's called VHS." All right, so I found it, and I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And then shortly after, VHS 2 was coming out, and I was like, "Oh man, it's a part 2." And I just love these ones. I love anthology stories in this. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, some of the stories are like but majority of it is really good. The
Hmm.
Viral was cool, probably my least favorite out of the original three, and then we got 94 and 99. Um, so I can't remember. They all blend together with me because there's so many different stories in each and every one of them. But I think in the second one, that one was my favorite one. There was a story. I think it was like a cult or something. What was that story called? I had to click on it to see. I think it was Safe Haven.
Hmm.
It was directed by Gareth Evans and a Timo. Ooh, I'm not even gonna try with that name. I think it's Gareth Evans, guys. He's the one that made The Raid. If you guys have seen those films, um, it's in Taiwan, I think. That story you got to read it all, but it's about this cult that these reporters try to go over there and interview this cult leader, and all hell breaks loose. I won't go into any more of it, but that story was like, wow, it just blew me away. So I think VHS 2 is my favorite out of all of them. But all the movies are good. I haven't seen the seventh film yet, and I want to watch that one. But if you guys, I believe if you have Shutter, all of them are on there.
Yeah, they're all on Shutter.
So definitely, sorry about the crying kids. It's bedtime. If you can hear them. But those movies are awesome. Again, if you're not the one for shaky camera work, don't watch them because that's all it is. They're found footage films and everything. It's an amazing series. I'm surprised that it's even got 7 films in it. But I think this is a series that can go on and on and on because you can just come up with different stories
Yeah.
and everything for those of you that make little short horror films. I mean, but oh man, we've been at this for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wrapping up, just kind of, we're almost at the 2 hour mark. Um, are there any films or any movies that you want to make recommendations for the audience,
um,
just off the top of your head?
any of the VHS movies. Oh man, if you haven't seen, if you also have Shutter, they're both on there now. In a Violent Nature, I think we talked about that already. If you haven't seen that one, check that out. Interview with the Devil or Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, Late Night with the Devil. Yeah,
That's a good one.
that is a good one.
There's another one on Hulu. I think it was Hulu. I think they made it in Spain. I can't remember the name. Damn it! I want to say when evil lurks or evil lurks or
Oh
something.
my, when Evil Lurks.
Is that what it's
Yes.
called?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
That one was nuts.
Man, that's a crazy movie. That's a
definitely,
crazy movie.
definitely check that out. Um, if you haven't seen any of the Paranormal Activity films, I mean, go for it. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Minus
yeah.
that last one. I didn't care for that
Hey,
one.
you know what's crazy? I just interviewed a guy who basically the next of kin idea was stolen from him. He had emailed the director. His name's Patrick Meekin. He was on my last episode. He had dealt with a lot of Amish magic on his property,
Uh-huh.
and the director or producer, whoever, he emailed him and said, "Hey, I have this idea I think would go great for your movies," because he had seen paranormal, because he had a lot of paranormal activity stuff going on. If you guys haven't heard Patrick's Nightmare in Holmes County, it's out in Ohio, the Ohio Amish community that he lived in. But basically, I'll give you the cliff notes. Basically, that he had land that they wanted, and he didn't want to get rid of. He didn't want to leave. He just built this brand new house, and they were trying to get him to leave, and there was all this crazy stuff. Well, as this was going on, he ends up emailing um, the producer or the director. I can't remember the guy's name. He said the name on the podcast, and literally not even like a year later, the idea that he gave him, the guy wrote the movie, and the movie was being written and made and filmed.
Dang. Which episode is this? I want to hear this.
This is this is on the last live stream.
Okay.
So yeah, he talks about in the first probably 15 minutes. He talks about how he emailed him, and basically the guy the story he gave him basically his life story, and the guy took it and didn't give him any credit or anything.
Oh hell no!
Yeah, he wasn't too happy.
That's probably why I didn't like the movie. Then the ending was crazy, but that movie was like, I didn't care for it. My favorite one, other than the first one, was I think it was the fifth one, the marked ones.
Oh yes,
that one was hella good.
Man, that one was crazy. Didn't they end up in the sewer or something?
Yeah, they were all over the place in that one. There's so many other ones that are good. Hell House LLC.
I haven't seen them.
There's a few of those movies. The first one is my favorite one. That one scared me. Found footage, awesome film.
Oh, hey. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I was going to tell you about this, and I may send you the list. But they updated the scariest movies of all time list for 2024, and Hell House LLC is on it. It's number 10. Basically, you know, when people like they do an average of everyone's heart rates during the movie. And Sinister got number 1, which is to me might be one of the scariest movies ever.
Sinister,
man, that was pretty good. Hey, there's no hating on that movie. That movie was good.
I liked it, but I was scared at some of it, but I wasn't like super scary.
But yeah, if you have the list in front of you, I know number 10 is Hell House LLC.
I don't know what list you're. I'm on Rotten Tomatoes.
I can't remember. They do it off decibels, but they said that it's like the scariest. They do it based off heart rate. And I know. Talk to Me was on there too. Have you seen Talk to Me?
That was hella good.
The ending got me, but I thought the movie was good. The ending just. But then I didn't know that they were making a second one.
I can't find this list you're looking at, but
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I mean, I would like to read it. I mean,
because I'm trying to think of what else was on there.
Well, for Rotten Tomatoes, their best of list of 2024. The first one was Late Night with the Devil. That's number 1. What's number 50?
Oh no! This is like of all time.
Oh, of all time. Oh, no, I'm just going by 2024.
No, yeah, but they update it every year, so they do average decibels of people watching this movie, and like I said, Sinister was number 1. I can't remember. Rosemary's Baby might be in there. I can't remember. Rosemary's Baby is a good movie too.
See that prequel that's on Paramount Plus?
I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I started watching it. It's like slow. I'm like, nothing's happening.
Okay, so we've been debating it.
If you're going to see a good one, check out Immaculate. I think it's on Hulu or one of those streaming ones. It's with what's her name? I fell in love with Sydney Sweeney after what was that stupid Marvel movie? Madam Web.
Madam Web. So yeah, Immaculate is good.
Yes, it's hella good. I love that one.
Okay. So I watched the first hour of it, and I said, and I basically turned it off because I get annoyed when they find out that she had the Immaculate Conception.
It's good. It's better than the first Omen. That movie was garbage.
People have been hyping that one up too. I was like, well, I guess I haven't watched it. I need to watch. Okay, I'll reevaluate.
I was mad at that one because the way it ended, because it was supposed to lead right into Richard Donner's Omen. No, I was so mad at that movie. I left the theater like, what the hell was this crap?
So the girl in First Omen is in Servant with M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
she's the.
I haven't seen that yet, but I want to see it. There's another one. They put it in the horror movies, but it's kind of creepy, but it's not really a horror film, more of a thriller. It's on Shudder. It says You'll Never Find Me. Check. It's really slow, but in the end, it was a good film. Abigail, if you guys haven't seen that, if you have Peacock, if you like just gory vampire films, definitely check that one out.
Oh, Abigail, that was pretty good. I like the lore. I like the world building behind that. That was pretty interesting.
Smile 2, I haven't seen that yet. I want to go see it. I didn't think this was a horror movie, but it was an alien invasion movie. A Quiet Place, Day One.
Oh yeah.
Out of those movies, that's probably my favorite one. I really enjoyed that one.
Man, that one was pretty good.
I enjoyed that one. I thought that was really good. Infested. Shout out to my boy Mike. He's the one that told me to watch that one. It's also
is that the spider
Shudder.
one?
Yeah, I hate spiders.
Man,
but
I had it too.
It was a good movie.
What about Hereditary? Someone
Oh.
in the comments said Hereditary.
That movie messed me up. It was crazy and sad.
Yeah.
I don't like crying in horror
Man,
movies.
when she stuck her head out that window, and all of a sudden you see like it basically has the basically has the head rolling or whatever. I was like, oh my god, this is bad.
It
Within the
was.
first 10 minutes of the movie.
But that film, I loved what I can't remember the director's name. It was an amazing film, and then
What about Midsummer?
Yeah, the Midsommar. He followed up with that. It was no Hereditary, but it was a crazy movie. I was listening to this interview he did with him. He said he was going through a breakup, and that's what that movie was. He said it was a breakup movie.
Oh wow.
I was like, really? I had to watch
Man,
it
that's
again.
crazy.
I had to rewatch it again. And oh, okay, I see. Also, for those of you that have seen the X and Pearl, Maxine is streaming on Max now.
Is it getting good?
I liked it. It's probably my
Okay.
third favorite out of those 3 films, but it's not a horror movie, but there's some gruesome things in it. Just the further adventures of Maxine. I kind of liked what was going on in it, but it's if you've seen X and Pearl, might as well watch that one.
Yeah,
It's streaming
we're
on
definitely gonna have to watch it because we just watched Pearl. We just
Okay.
watched that one this past week or a couple weeks ago.
Mia Goth.
Can I say this? She's not a good actress.
I thought she did a good job in Pearl, especially at the end when she just stares at the camera, smiling all crazy, crying. I liked it.
She was in a movie called Survivalist back in like 2017. It's an end of the world. Basically, I can't remember if the power grid fell down or something. But she basically was a sex slave to, Okay, so in the movie Watchers, that old woman, that's in the Watchers, she played her mother in this movie.
Okay.
And basically, she was basically the mother would go from camp to camp, still, basically use Mia Goth's character as like a, sex thing to get the men to fall in love with her because there's no women hardly. And so they end up finding out this guy, and he kind of figures it out, and then it goes from there. But Survivalist, it's not really a horror movie, but it's like a post-apocalyptic movie. Which you know what, we didn't really talk about any of those. I mean, there's a few of them. I know. I guess it's what is it? Elle Page now? Not Ellen Page. What is it? What's that?
Elliot?
Elliot Page. Elliot Page now. It used to be, that person was in a movie, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. It had a little girl from Walking Dead in it, I believe. But basically, the power goes out, power grid goes out, and I had it off the tip of my head or out the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it now, but just type in Elliot Page and a post-apocalyptic movie, and it'll come up.
Is it new?
No, it came out probably 2021, maybe. Here in the last 5 years. It was before she was Elliot. Dang, I hate to say that, but you know what I mean.
All I'm seeing is
I'll have to find it and man, I have to go through my
close to you. Does that sound right?
No, that doesn't sound right.
That's not it.
I'll have to find it because I can't remember.
Weird Flatliners. No, she was.
No.
Well, he was Ellen then. Umbrella Academy. I started to watch that. I tapped out. I like the graphic novel better.
Yeah, I watched the second season. I was out. But anyways, yeah, we didn't really hit. I mean, what about The Road? It's not really a horror movie, but it is kind of has horror tendencies. It's, end of the world, everything's bad. You got people killing people.
That movie was depressing.
Man, it was brutal. Just to know that if you guys haven't seen The Road by now, I mean, that was 20 years ago. But
if you have Max, I think it came out a couple of years ago. It was like one of the scariest things I've ever seen TV wise. That Chernobyl show.
Is it the movie or the show? Because they did a movie.
It was like a series. Chernobyl Diaries. Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that.
That was pretty good.
That was like kind of a found footage
What
type
about
of
The
film.
Descent?
Oh, I love that
The
one. I
first one.
was claustrophobic. I like the second one too. I was
Yeah.
really claustrophobic watching that one. That one was crazy. But Chernobyl, if you guys have Max, that whole mini series or series, I think it was like 8 episodes or something like that. It was scary. I mean, because it happened. It was a true story, and I mean, I knew a little bit of it. I remember when it happened when I was in school, but to watch it, and I'm sure they had to dramatize it for TV and everything. But man, that I was like spooky, like that happened, and it's still not safe to go over there. But I mean, that's crazy. I mean, something like that, things that like really happen, or things that can happen, are scarier more than unstoppable killers and invaders from space and all that. And I mean, we haven't even touched Jaws on how that scared everyone to go
Yeah.
go into the water. I mean, even monster movies, didn't even touch Godzilla and all
Yeah.
those ones. And there's a ton of, or like you kind of mentioned, like Animals Going Wild, that movie Grizzly, or
Grizzly, yeah.
even
Edge.
Prophecy, the one that came out in the 70s. That one was
Oh, with Christopher Walken.
no, it was with Amon Desante and what's her name from Rocky, Adrian,
Oh,
Taya Shire. That
I'm
one
trying to think of.
was dealing with. I think it's on Amazon, or Prime, whatever. Um, it was dealing with this sawmill up in the somewhere in Maine. I think I can't remember well. They sent this guy up there to go see what was going on because there was a lot of health issues going on, mainly on the res with the natives there. There was stuff in the water that was like babies were being stillborn or being born with defect with deformities and everything. So they go up there and try to figure it out. And then when they get up there, they find out that there's this big giant deformed bear running around killing everyone. I mean, it's a good movie and it is kind of spooky, but that kind of tied into real life stuff. I mean, stuff being caused by man and affecting, and it spoke to us as natives, as indigenous people to this land, on what it was going on, what it was doing to them, and everything with the sawmill, where they were saying, "Oh no, our stuff is safe," but then deep down, that all hell was
Yeah, there was all types of stuff.
everything wasn't safe. And I mean, that's like stuff that goes on today, and that type of stuff is scary. And then you just throw this big giant deformed bear into it. But it's definitely a good film. If you guys have not seen Prophecy, I think it came out in like 78 or 79.
Okay.
Definitely check that one out. Like I said, it's on Prime. So also, if you don't have Prime, YouTube, it's on there. Somebody uploaded it. So definitely check out that film Prophecy if you haven't seen it. It's a really good film, and read between the lines on some of the stuff that's going on in it, because it does affect what's going on in the world today here in America, especially dealing with the indigenous peoples on their land and everything. But
Well,
yeah,
man, I appreciate it. You know, it's we're where can they find you, man? If I had, so I don't have, I have StreamYard like basic and the free version, so I'm almost out of hours for the month. Or I would say we come back for part 3, but I'm cooked. I just have no more space left. But
we'll come back next year, everyone.
yeah, hey, give us a whole year.
We could do it again with more. There's a ton of movies. Look at all the crap I got behind
I
me.
know.
Majority of that is horror movies. But yeah, you can find it. Just search the Mac Nez podcast or E Society podcast on Facebook, Instagram. We're all over those places. X, just search E Society or Mac Nez podcast, as well as TikTok. E Society on there. I haven't done a Mac Nez one, but basically the same thing. And yeah, you can find us everywhere, wherever podcasts are. We have 2 different feeds. We have one on Spotify, which is everywhere. Just search E Society, listen to everything there. That's where you can hear all our 31 Days of Horror this year. Or going over to, or you can search Skater Nez Podcast Network. It's SK, the number 8, ER Nez Podcast Network, and that's where E Society, our main show is. Or we try to do it weekly, but we haven't this month because I'm doing all the 31 Days of Horror. It's usually there. I just dropped a new Mac Nez podcast, episode 147, so go listen to that, please. And yeah, I mean, but brother, man, thank you so much. It was awesome last week. It was even just more fun this week. We could do it again, but yeah, we'll be back next year with more. And
Hey, you just never know, man. You may get it. Hey, you may get a message from me saying, "Hey, part 3?" Question mark. You just never know, man. Just be ready. I
yeah,
don't know.
whenever, man, just let me know when, and I'll be here. Same bat time, same bat channel, and yeah, Batman. Adam West is Batman, boys and girls. Well, because I'm old, so he's my Batman when I first saw it. And Christopher Reeve is Superman. Rest in peace, everyone. But yeah, man, brother, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and commenting. It's cool. I love doing this. I never get to do this with anyone, so thank you so much for letting me come on. And I'll be back, everyone.
Yeah, he'll be back. All right, guys. You can find me Warcry Pod on TikTok, Yahola Tiger on Facebook. Send me a message. Let me know what you heard from me. If you got an encounter or a scary story, this is Creepy Part 7, I believe, will be coming out in January. So send those in at realwarcrypod@gmail.com or on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. But I can't say enough how much I appreciate Nez for coming on a second time. I know, like I said, we can go hours, but I'm glad he was able to come on. And I appreciate everyone who has come on the podcast. Be ready, guys. Halloween is coming up. That'll be the next stream. I'll have that posted and all that good stuff for a time. But I appreciate everyone who continues to support the podcast, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.
Yep. Go Dodgers.